Hello and welcome back to the podcast, Fly to Freedom. Today I'm talking about something that actually so many people in eating disorder recovery silently struggle with because it's just not talked about. And that is intimacy, especially when your body is changing, your relationship with yourself is shifting and you're starting to feel again. This episode was inspired by a message I received on Instagram from a beautiful woman who said she has a loving and supportive husband, but she's struggling with intimacy during recovery. And I know I also did struggle with this. And if you relate, I want you to know that it's kind of part of the process and you're not alone. And I know that people just don't really seem to talk about it. So let's change that and let's talk about it. So let's start by naming the fact that it is complicated, it is hard in recovery, and it's often quite a painful relationship with intimacy in recovery. Because many people who've lived inside an eating disorder, intimacy didn't feel like a shared experience. It may well have felt like a duty, something to get through, something to allow rather than enjoy. Maybe you told yourself it was easier just to say yes rather than explain why you didn't want to. Maybe you were so disassociated from your own body that it didn't really feel like you were there anyway. Maybe you just went through the motions because saying no felt awkward or selfish or just kind of wrong. When your worth feels tied to pleasing, when you've been trained by the eating disorder to make yourself small, agreeable, palatable, it makes perfect sense that intimacy became another place where you served somebody else or you simply disappeared. So let's start here. If you've ever felt that you just got on with it because that was easier than tuning in, if you've ever felt numb during sex or disconnected or unsure how you really felt, or if you've ever used sex to prove you're okay or worthy or normal, you're not broken. You are surviving. The eating disorder disconnects you from your body. It numbs sensation, flattens emotion, and teaches you to override your own needs. So it's no surprise that intimacy, something that requires presence and vulnerability, became something that you may well have just endured or avoided. And then you begin recovery. And for the first time, you actually start to come back to your body. When you've been absent from yourself for so long, coming back it really is uncomfortable. You start to feel the texture of your skin, the weight of your body, the reality of curves and softness and sensation. And it can feel overwhelming. And there's no more numbing and no more pushing through because you can't disassociate in the same way anymore. You're in your body and it's changing. And now being touched or seen in this new body can feel almost unbearable. There's a part of you that may suddenly feel like, I just don't know how to be in this body, let alone share it with anyone else. Or what if they don't find me attractive anymore? What if they only loved me when I was smaller? What if they see me differently now and it changes everything? Even in a loving, supportive relationship, that fear can be so loud because it's not just about your partner, it's about you, how you see yourself, how you feel in your own skin, how you are only just starting to unravel years of belief that your value is tied into how small or controlled your body was. And of course, there's fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being exposed, fear of letting someone close enough to see that you're not perfect, not polished, not that version of yourself you once believed was acceptable. Sweetheart, you're not doing anything wrong feeling this way. You're actually doing something incredibly right. Because feeling uncomfortable during intimacy doesn't mean you're failing at recovery. It actually means you're healing. You're healing the part of you that believed your body had to look a certain way to be desirable. You're healing the part that thought being touched was something to tolerate rather than something to experience. You're healing the part that disappeared in order to feel safe. And yes, this work is tender, frightening, confronting, and it's also real, and it's alive, and it's full of the possibility of true, connected, embodied intimacy, the kind that doesn't require perfection or performance, but actually grows from truth, real connection. So before we even talk about sex drive or hormones or what to do when desire comes back, we have to look at the truth of if you're struggling with intimacy and recovery, if it feels harder than it did before, or you're more sensitive, more afraid, more uncertain, it's not a problem. It's part of coming home to yourself. And true intimacy, the real kind, not the performed kind, but the connected kind, that true intimacy only becomes possible when you come home to who you really are. So let's look at the reality of your body changing and how that affects your sex drive. So now we've opened up what it means to go from disconnected intimacy to becoming more present in your body. Let's talk about one of the most surprising parts of recovery for quite a few people, really. It's sex drive. The complete lack of it, or the sudden return of it, or both in waves. It's not talked about enough, but when your body is in survival mode, when it's malnourished, underweight, overexercised, running on cortisol and adrenaline, one of the first things your body shuts down is your reproductive system, because it's not safe to reproduce. It's not safe to feel pleasure. It's not safe to be vulnerable or open. So of course your libido disappears, because your body is protecting you by turning off anything non-essential. And that includes desire, arousal, lubrication, and the very interest in being intimate. Most people don't even notice it's gone because they're so numb in general. Other people feel broken, like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I feel anything? But nothing was wrong with you, sweetheart. Your body was just trying to survive. And then you begin to nourish yourself. You start eating consistently, you stop over-exercising, you slow down, and you begin to rebuild trust with your body. And that's where it gets a little bit unexpected, because your body starts turning the lights back on. Hormones come back online. You might notice changes in your cycle, or you might start to get your cycle back. Your skin, your energy, and sometimes quite suddenly, all at once, your sex drive returns. Not in a neat, subtle, softly lit kind of way. It's a flood sometimes, and it can feel like extreme hunger. And no, that's not a metaphor. That's actually a nervous system truth. It's like when you finally allow yourself to eat after months or years of restriction, your body says, thank God, finally, I want more. Except this time it's not food. It's touch, closeness, connection, pleasure, release. And you might feel overwhelmed, like, why am I suddenly fantasizing all the time? Why do I feel insatiable? Is this normal? Am I an nymphomaniac? Am I just too much? And let me reassure you with just everything I have in my heart. There's not anything wrong with you. It's your body saying, I'm safe, I'm alive, and I want to feel. And You might feel like a completely different person, like desire has exploded into your life and you don't know what to do with it. I actually said I felt like a teenage boy who had no control over their thoughts. You might even feel ashamed or like it's inappropriate to want this much, very much so. And it's so important to say this because shame is a residue of suppression, not a reflection of the truth. And you're not a nymphomaniac. You're not too much. You're not acting out. You're just waking up and your body's catching up on years of being shut down. My husband was away when my libido returned, and I actually drove for 3 hours to go and see him because I was that much wanting sex at the time because it had just suddenly returned and I couldn't think of anything else. So, this sudden urge of desire, just like extreme hunger with food, is your body rebalancing. It's not overreacting, and it may well feel very intense at first, but it does settle. Your hormones recalibrate, your nervous system softens. What matters most is how you meet it, with curiosity, not judgment, slowness, not shame, and permission, not punishment. And on the other end of this awakening of your body is something beautiful because you get to rediscover pleasure on your own terms. You get to reclaim your sexuality, not as something you give out to feel worthy, but as something rooted in your own presence, connection, and choice. And you get to start to receive, not just give. In the eating disorder, you may well have used your body but never inhabited it. And now you get to feel, to choose, and to explore what intimacy can actually mean for you. And that includes moments of not knowing what you want. It includes days where the desire feels too much and days where it's completely absent. And all of that's okay. It's all part of the process. What matters is that you learn to listen to your body with compassion, not fear. To honor your hunger for food, for touch, for rest, for closeness, for intimacy, without needing to suppress it or explain it away. That's what healing really looks like. So now we've talked about how your sex drive might disappear, return in a rush, or feel completely unfamiliar. Let's talk about what intimacy actually means now that you're in recovery. Because when you've spent years, maybe decades, disconnected from your body, performing a version of intimacy without being truly present, recovery doesn't just change how you feel physically. It changes what you want, what you tolerate, and what you're no longer willing to pretend about. And something I hear so often is that I don't know how to be intimate without performing. Because before, intimacy wasn't about you. It was about managing expectations, avoiding rejection, keeping the peace, appearing normal, earning approval. And even if it wasn't explicit, there was often a deep belief that intimacy was something you gave, not something you shared and received. And when the eating disorder taught you that your worth lived in being desirable, in being small, controlled, pleasing, sex actually became another form of self-abandonment, a space where you disappeared to keep someone else close. So of course recovery changes everything, because now you're not disappearing anymore. You're showing up and staying with yourself. And showing up in intimacy means more than letting someone touch your body. It means letting someone see you, all of you, your fears, your softness, your imperfections, your changing body, your complicated hunger for food, for rest, for touch, for life. That level of emotional nakedness is vulnerable in a way that physical nakedness never was, and it can feel terrifying. You might find yourself pulling away even when you want closeness. You might find yourself avoiding eye contact during sex, or needing the lights off, or freezing when someone tries to touch you in a tender way. You might say, "I'm fine," but your body is rigid with shame. And if that's you, sweetheart, again, you are not broken. You're just learning how to be present in your body in real time. And you're so brave. So let's look at a few truths. You don't have to perform anymore. You're allowed to be real. And real can be unsure, slow, soft, curious. There's no right way to be intimate. And the only truth you need to follow is your own. And you're not less than because you're rediscovering what you like or how you want to be touched. You might be 25, 35, 55, 75, and only now discovering what it means to feel good in your own body. And that's not a failure, that's freedom. And you're allowed to communicate. You're allowed to say what you want and to say what you don't want. And to say, "I need more time," or "Can we slow down?" or "Could we just hold each other tonight?" You're allowed to bring your partner into the process. Sometimes we assume that if we don't show up as confident and sexy and ready, we'll disappoint them. But if your partner loves you, truly loves you, they don't want the performance, they want you. So instead of trying to go back to how it used to be, can you allow intimacy to become something new? To let go of the old scripts, let go of the expectations, and begin asking yourself, what do I actually want to feel here? Not what should I do or how should I look, but what do I want to feel? Safe, held, alive, playful, connected? When you stop chasing the version of intimacy the eating disorder trained you to perform, you make space for something real, which is where true intimacy lives. Because it's never about perfection, it's about presence. It's not about knowing exactly what to do. It's about being honest about where you are. And when you let someone meet you in that space, especially someone loving, patient, supportive, it can be one of the most healing experiences of your entire recovery. Not because you finally got it right, but because you showed up fully in your body and in your truth, and you let yourself be seen. So now we've talked about showing up as yourself, not performing or disappearing, but being honest and present. Let's talk about how. How do you begin to reconnect with your body in a way that feels safe enough to allow intimacy again? Even if you want closeness, even if your sex drive has returned, even if you love your partner deeply, your nervous system might not be ready yet. And that doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means your body is still healing. Let's remember, in the eating disorder, your body often lived in a state of hypervigilance. Your nervous system was stuck in fight, flight, or freeze, and your body was braced for danger, whether that's emotional danger like being judged, or physical vulnerability like being touched. Intimacy can feel threatening, even if your partner is safe. That's why reconnection with your body starts long before you're in bed with someone. It starts in slow, small ways, the kind that tell your nervous system, it's okay to be here, you're safe now. Start with your own touch. Before letting anyone else close, practice touching your own body with care. This might look like putting your hand on your heart or your belly, your breasts, simply breathing. Using lotion or oil to gently massage your skin, just to feel it. Resting your hands on parts of you that feel hard to accept and whispering something kind, even if that kindness feels hard at first. You're not doing this to prepare for someone else. You're doing it to rebuild trust with yourself. So often in recovery, we carry anxiety that any touch will lead somewhere, that a cuddle means sex, and that closeness comes with expectation. So take the pressure off. Relearn that touch can be holding hands while watching a film, a long warm hug with no agenda, just sitting shoulder to shoulder, gentle head rubs or back scratches. Let your body remember that it's safe to be close without being on it. Let it learn that touch doesn't have to lead. It can just be. And communicate what you need. It's okay to say things like, I want to be close, but I get overwhelmed easily. Can we stay here for a moment before moving forwards? I might need to pause if I feel unsure. And this is just part of the healing, it's not you. Your partner doesn't need perfection. They need presence and clarity and communication. And when you communicate, you create a shared space of safety where you both know what's happening and no one is left guessing. If you're used to overriding your body's signals, which pretty much everyone with an eating disorder is, learning to listen to your body again can feel like learning a foreign language. So take your time. There's no rush to return to normal because normal wasn't safe. This is your chance to create a new normal, one where intimacy is built on consent, comfort, curiosity, and truth. Even in a loving relationship, you don't owe anyone access to your body. Not your partner, not your past self, not an old version of intimacy you're trying to replicate. You get to set the pace. You get to explore what feels good now. You get to say yes when your whole body says yes, not just your mouth. So you can redefine what intimacy means for you. And that can change over time, but maybe right now it just means holding hands during a walk, lying down beside each other and chatting about your day, writing little love notes and leaving them on each other's pillows, just hugging or being held while you cry. These aren't less than, they are intimacy. They are ways of saying, I see you, I trust you, and I want to be close to you, even as I heal. And every time you stay with yourself, instead of leaving your body to please someone else, you reclaim part of your wholeness. When you slow down instead of rushing through the discomfort, you're telling your body, we don't have to abandon ourselves anymore. That's intimacy. That's healing. So let this be a practice of presence, not performance, a return to choice and not obligation, a journey into real safety, not survival mode submission. And if you're doing that, even imperfectly and clumsily, you're doing beautifully. So let's talk about what all this looks like inside a loving, committed relationship, especially one where your partner has always been supportive, because that's where guilt can start to creep in. You might think, oh, they're so patient and kind and I still can't relax. They tell me they love me no matter what, but I'm struggling to believe it. I used to feel confident and now I just want to hide. They didn't sign up for this version of me. What if I never feel like myself again? And I want to speak directly to the part of you that feels like you're somehow letting them down by needing time and space. You're not failing them. You're allowing them to love the real you. When you were performing, when you were going along with intimacy to avoid discomfort or maintain control, your partner didn't actually have access to you. They had access to a version that was surviving. Now you're relearning what it means to be close without abandoning yourself. And that is the most beautiful, powerful, and real form of intimacy there is. And yes, it can feel really, really hard to bring your partner into this process, especially when you're just figuring it out for yourself. But share your truth, because you don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to explain it with perfect clarity. You just need to let them in a little so that they can understand where you are and what you're working through. You might say, my body's changing and it feels unfamiliar, so I feel shy or scared sometimes. I want to be close to you, but I'm learning how to be close to myself. Sometimes I feel desire and then I freeze, and it's not because I don't love you, but I'm still building trust in my body. You're not handing them a script, you're inviting them to see you without the shield. So let them love you in the now and not the before. A huge fear in recovery is, what if they miss who I used to be? And sometimes, yes, partners struggle too. They miss the confidence you projected in that body. They miss the rhythm you used to have. They miss seeing you more comfortable. But mostly what they really want is for you to feel safe and joyful and whole again, even if that means learning new ways of being together. Your body might be different. Your needs might have changed, and your approach to sex might feel more emotional and less automatic. And that doesn't make you less desirable. It makes the relationship more human. Because this is a chance for intimacy to evolve into something deeper, more emotionally attuned and more embodied. And if your partner is open, they'll grow with you, not despite your healing, but because of it. If your sex drive is gone, or if it's come roaring back, or if it still swings from one extreme to the other, that's okay too. Let them in on this as well. You could say, sometimes I feel disconnected and other times I feel overwhelmed by how much I want closeness. We take it moment by moment. I'm trying to understand my body again, and I'd love to figure it out together. Because desire doesn't have to be a performance or a mystery. It can be a shared exploration, and that strengthens trust and deepens your bond. Let go of the myth that you need to be ready to begin. One of the most common blocks into involving a partner in your healing is the belief that you have to wait until you feel more stable, more sexual, more certain. But you don't. You don't need to wait until you like your body, you're back to normal, your sex drive makes sense, you stop feeling nervous. You don't need to wait until you like your body, you're back to normal, your sex drive makes sense, you stop feeling nervous or self-conscious, because, sweetheart, you'll be waiting forever. And the discomfort shifts after the vulnerable conversations, not before. The fear softens after you've been met with understanding. The safety grows after you've let them hold you when you feel messy, not just when you feel strong. So start messy, start uncertain, start awkward if you have to, but start. Because the connection you're craving comes from truth, not timing. Recovery doesn't just change you, it changes your relationship too. But that's not a loss, it's an opportunity. You get to redefine what intimacy looks like, set new boundaries that are rooted in your values, build emotional closeness alongside physical closeness, and create rituals of affection and playfulness and connection that feel nourishing for both of you. It's not about getting back to how things were. It's about creating a relationship that reflects who you're becoming together. And maybe that looks like slow mornings wrapped in each other's arms, taking walks and talking about your fears. Maybe it means crying during sex, laughing during a cuddle, having fun and playing, letting go of the idea that intimacy has to be polished or perfect. Because it's not true intimacy is not measured by frequency, spontaneity, or performance. It's measured by how safe you feel to be you. And when you can say, this is me now, and I'm still learning to be with myself, and your partner says, I want to be with you in that, that's love, healing, intimacy in its purest, most soul-honoring form. As we come to the end of this episode, I want to speak directly to the part of you that's still holding its breath. The part that's wondering, but what if I'm too different now? What if my body is too soft, too slow, too unrecognizable? The part that's wondering, but what if I'm too different now? What if my body is too soft, too slow, too unrecognizable? What if they don't want me anymore? What if I don't want me anymore? Sweetheart, you are still lovable. You're still desirable and you're still wanted, even in the in-between. Especially in the in-between, because this version of you, the one who's learning to inhabit her body again, who gets shy when the lights are on, who sometimes freezes when she's touched, who's relearning how to feel after years of disconnect. This version of you is not less. She is becoming more real than she's ever been. The world taught you that lovability was conditional. That you had to be thin, sexual, confident, pleasing, that your worth was tied to how attractive or in control you are. But recovery is about remembering that your worth never lived in your body or your performance. It's always been in your presence. And if someone only loved you for what the eating disorder made you, small, compliant, numb, and invisible, then they didn't love you. They loved your coping strategy. But the people who truly love you, the people who are safe, real, and emotionally available, they're not mourning the loss of the eating disorder body. They are grateful that you're coming back to life. They want you, not the version of you who was always afraid, disappearing, saying yes when you meant no. They want the version who feels, who chooses, and who shows up in truth. And most importantly, you get to want you too. You get to want this body, this one who's softening, swelling, and returning to life. You get to want this version of you who's complicated, curious, confusing, and courageous. You get to want pleasure, not because it earns you something, but because you're human and you deserve to feel good. So yes, your body's changing and your sense of self might feel wobbly. Your relationship with intimacy is evolving in ways you never expected. But none of that makes you broken. It makes you free. Because now you get to choose and you get to feel and you get to belong to yourself first and let others love you from that place. So if intimacy feels messy right now, confusing, inconsistent, or overwhelming, if you're crying during sex, laughing, or feeling things you never let yourself feel before, that's your heart opening and your body saying, I'm here now. Let's learn how to be alive again. And if you want support through this, you don't have to do it alone. Inside the Eating Disorder Recovery Circle, we hold space for these conversations. Not just the food and body image, but the real, raw stuff. The intimacy, the fear, the longing, the desire. The things you've kept quiet because they felt too much or not enough. They are recovery and you're welcome in every part of it. And if you want to walk this path more personally, you can reach out for one-to-one coaching with me. This is the work I do every day, helping women reclaim their bodies, their relationships, their voice, and their sense of worth. Not someday when they're fully healed, but now, as they are. You don't have to become a different person to be loved. Sweetheart, you just need to come home to the one you already are, because she's more than good enough. Lots of love, and I will see you next week on the episode. Take care.